In today's express workout, let's focus on abdominals and a little unconventional as far as roll ups and roll downs. I'm going to do some variations of half rollbacks with a little bit of support on the knee. And we're also going to use the jump board, not for cardio, but for some abdominals. Now, when we talk about abs, I want the focus today to be about moving the abdominals, but also using them to stabilize, whether we're neutral or we're in flexion or we're loaded and we need single side loaded and we need to focus on using the abdominals and the obliques to stabilize instead of always focusing on rotation. So if you have a jump board, go ahead and set that up. Let's put the short box spring side edge. And I'm going to I'll do a red and a blue to start with. So I'm going to think about like a medium spring tension. If you have the ability to drop your swivel pulleys down or put your collapsible risers down, it's going to be a little bit more beneficial. But if you do not have this adjustment, you may need to play around with rope length. So let's go down and have a seat on the box. When we drop our swivel pulleys, we're going to have a lot more slack on the rope. So I just want you to go once around each of the pegs. Start by looping it in and then back out. Scoot your sit bones forward to the edge of the box. And let's put the long or short loops, whatever you feel more comfortable with, on the leg. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that the straps are on the outside just to start with, even though they're going to go underneath me when we roll. And I've got enough space here at the spring side edge that I can place my hands. So what I'm going to do is first get myself set up, kind of like the Pilates chair when we're pressing down. And we're just going to simply take our legs to tabletop and really think about pulling the abs in. Now you can hip flex this, but I want you to feel lumbar flexion. I don't want you to go too far because we don't want to hyperextend the lower back. So just legs together and exhale, pull. Think about the sitting bones pushing the box forward as opposed to doing a posterior tilt for 3. Sit bones push forward, 2. Sit bones push forward, 1, and up. So when I talk about creating lumbar flexion from the pelvis, you'll notice in a lot of my tutorial videos, my method videos, that I focus on preventing the pubic bone and the breastbone from coming together, and most focusing on the sit bone reaching. So we're going to do 2 more sets of that. Legs in tabletop, roll back, hands on spring side edge, feet together, starting in a neutral spine, not hyperextended, so don't go too far. And let's do it for 10. Push that box forward. 9, 8, little tilt. Legs move forward. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and up. So I've got a red and a blue. Now, for me, that's a nice challenge, but also a bit of support for my body mass, how much I weigh. So play around with spring tension. If you feel that red and the blue really pushes and supports, you're going to feel everything. Really err on the side of feeling the lumbar stretch as the sitting bones push the bed forward. Trying to figure out how to say that. All right. One last time. Legs in tabletop, find a neutral spine, legs go out a little bit, and let's roll those sit bones forward for 10, 9, 8, 7, flatten the tummy, 6, 5, 4, don't go too far in hyperextension of the lumbar, 1, and rest. It's a really great way to wake the abs up. So I try to find with my spine injury exercises that are going to challenge me for strength, but also find support. So now we have the option. If you want to do 2 more sets with your hands down, that's great. You can also do hands here, or you can do arms out. So I want you to choose, play around with all of them. So I'm going to do arms out, and I'm going to feel my sit bones roll. So I'm starting more neutral, and I'm going to roll for 10, 9, little pull in with the knees to support us as we push. 5, whoops, went too far. 4, 3, 2, 1. That usually requires a lot of concentration, so talking and doing it. So I'm going to do one more set. I'm going to not talk because I almost lost my balance. But at least if you're in this position and you do lose, grab either the spring side edge or the box. So let's do that one more time. Get ourselves set up. Arms out. You can hold 1 pound dumbbells if you need the extra support. And let's go. 10, 9, 8, 7. Roll the sit bones forward. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wow. Everything really gets everything. The other explanation of why I have a red and a blue is for that specific series. I need that support. So if I feel myself go out of that control, which I did, I want to be able to make sure that I can hold it. So if you felt you were having a challenge with that, remember, you can always keep your hands here as a spot and just they're light as a feather, so you can do that too. That'll help stabilize you. So let's go ahead and take the left leg out, post the strap. I'm going to uncoil it just so it doesn't stop. And let's go ahead and side sit. Make sure the leg is up. And I like to hold on just lightly for 2 reasons. One, it's a red and a blue, so my hand can act as a spot. And also it prevents it from sliding off my leg. So as the knee comes in, I want to lengthen up with my skull. I'm not thinking ear to knee, I'm thinking skull up. So let's do 10. If I feel I can come all the way up and back down, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. You'll also notice as this shoulder rest acts as a nice stabilizer. So that between here and the arm, I feel really stable coming up. So let's switch. Uncoil left, wrap, or right, wrap left. All right, let's go leg in. Let's get into position. Bottom leg supported, holding on as a spot so it doesn't slide off. Lift up your chest, lengthen your spine. And remember, we're not trying to side bend, we're trying to side lift. Foot is up against that shoulder for support. And let's do our first. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, skull up, 8, 9, and 10. Post, uncoil, unwrap. Let's do one more each side. I think I'm going to feel this tomorrow. I'm feeling some great hip flexor strength as well in this turned out sideline position. All right, so I think I'm ready. Let's go ahead and get in position. Foot up against shoulder rest on the bottom leg. Hand holds, lengthen up, get in position, and start pulling in so it balances and lifts for 10, 9. You can lower down more if you want. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, last 2, 1 more. Excellent. Go ahead and post that. Uncoil, post. So there's a lot of different variations you can do with that. If you want to play around with, if you want to flow it, I would probably post the strap and probably do some work, sorry, my arm right there, and some work side sitting. But for today's lesson, I'm going to keep it moving. Let's go ahead and take the box off. Let's go down to 1 blue only, or a light spring if a blue doesn't feel light for you. We're going to do a series that it's going to be the same leg choreography done on the mat. So when you're doing single leg, double leg, scissors, helicopter, and then we're going to do some frog series flows with the leg. So it's all lower abs. Our goal is to jump back and grab the risers. So that little bit of spring tension is going to give our lats some place to work and stabilize. So make sure that if your risers are square and metal, that you grab some pads for your hands. All right, let's get started. Arms overhead. Engage the core, jump from the hips, never the knees. And let's go back and get the risers. All right, so let's just hold that for about 30 seconds. My glutes are on, my abs are flattened, and I've got a nice pull. If you want to pull all the way to the back and hold snug too, I'll do that sometimes. So let's start there. My goal is to make sure my glutes are supporting my legs, holding my legs up, so my hip flexors don't overwork, and my abs are supporting my spine. Let's go ahead and come in, and let's just rest for 5 seconds. Hands are at the ready, and let's go back, and let's hold our legs in tabletop, and let's do single leg stretches. Engage the glute, and back, left, and back, right, and back. Create that length on the front of that hip. You want to add a little bit more challenge. Opposite arm off. Let's do 3 more each side. Getting a good oblique burn with that single arm hold. And rest for 10 seconds. Arms out, rock knees. So basically, I'm going to consider that a short lever arm single leg. So let's now go into long lever arm, which is a scissor. So pull yourself back. Either keep both arms on or switch. Going faster if you want. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Rest for 20 seconds. Rock your knees, get the tension out of your spine. 1 more rock each side. So we're going to go back to short lever, but both legs at the same time. So let's go ahead and get back to the end. So we're going to hold on with both, and let's just do 10 double leg stretches for 10, nice and slow, 9, and in, 8, and in, 7, and in, 6, and in, 5, and in, 4, in, 3, in, 2, in, 1, and relax, rock knees. So when we're doing abs and we're doing that hold, that hang hold, slower is better. It's that more time under tension. You're allowing the abdominals and the glutes to support. So now what we're going to do is we're going to keep our left hand at the hip. We're going to have our right hand get ready to grab hold of us. And we're going to pull ourselves. Make sure we're stable. And we're going to lower left and then lower right. Holding on. Let's do 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. So I've got my hand on the top, my fingers on the top of my opposite hip bone to the holding arm, just to give me a sense whether I'm twisting. I'm kind of using it, and I'm not pushing hard. I'm just reminding myself to keep that stable pelvis. Let's go ahead and rock knees side to side, release that tension in the back. Now let's go ahead and get the right at the hip, left ready for a hold, and let's jump back. Hold on, stabilize everything, and let's do the same thing. Right down, and let's go for 10, 9, keep length through this neck spine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Rock your knees side to side. So we've done our scissors, we've done our single leg, double leg stretch, alternating femur arcs, which I was taught, it's kind of like a dead bug variation of lower extremities. The great thing about this is it allows you to drop your legs a little lower, so if you're on the higher reformers, you get that nice hip flexor stretch. And it also challenges hip extensions so you can get the glute work. All right, so we're going to do helicopter legs. So let's get ready, jump it back. You're going to do right up, left out, and switch for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rest, and then we'll start with left leg leading down, which is basically reversing. I'm just going to butterfly stretch for 10 seconds, give myself a nice rest. What I want to prevent when we're doing lower abs in this position is pounding them out. I'm not a fan of that because we need to give that recovery period between. Otherwise, if our abs and glutes get fatigued, we're going to go right into our back. So remember when you're programming, I know it seems like go, 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 go is the way to challenge our students, but it's not. Challenge them with slow, controlled reps and then give them a rest. Because I've had some people say to me personally, you know, that other teacher I work with, they go and go and go. They don't give us rest, and they just compound muscle exercises together. And I always feel like I'm straining my back or I'm straining my hips because I'm not getting adequate rest. So remember, keeping your students moving and not giving them a rest unless it's a flow where you're changing the muscle groups. Please make sure you give them this a little extra time. All right, I need a little extra time apparently, so let's go. We're going to start with left up, right down, and let's go for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's come on up. Take your jump board off if you're using that. If you didn't have a jump board, that sequence can be done with a foot bar. Just make sure you know where your feet are. I don't want anybody losing their footing when they're doing that. So let's go ahead and take your swivel pulleys. Actually, let's leave them down. I think we're good for that. If you have the bar, which I'm right in front of my face, if you have the roll down bar, go ahead and grab that. Trying to figure out where I put it. Oh, there it is. Sorry, it was on my machine over here. Off camera. All right. If you do not have a roll down bar, go ahead and just grab a dowel and you can put it, loop it through like old time through, but you just need to be very careful that you're holding on. If you have the roll down bar, let's only clip one side on because we're going to work our obliques as a stabilizer, not a mover. And oftentimes we train them. So for my clients that maybe are recovering with shoulder injury or maybe have some neck issues, I'm not going to put them in a plank or a side plank. I'm going to challenge them with this series. So I'm on a blue. Some of you are going to find that fairly easy, but I'll give you the options to increase. We'll do 2 each side. So just holding it short lever here. Now, the amount of work to prevent myself from rotating to the right is coming from my obliques. So let's slowly press up at an angle and hold that for 10, 9. I'm feeling all of this work. I'm closing the chain by holding with my left, so less chance of torquing. Glutes are on, axials elongating. 3, 2, 1. So for those of you that want to challenge yourself, find another spring tension. I'm going to do a red and a blue on this one. So that's going to be tons of pecs and lats to support my shoulders and to prevent myself from going into my traps and neck. So I'm going to get ready, making sure that the swivel pulley, the little eye hook, is facing the swivel pulley. All right, let's get ready, pull it in. I'm going to really challenge myself. Maybe I overshot my spring tension, but let's go ahead and press and hold for 30 seconds. Lats and pecs are on. 20 seconds. Keep your spine from compressing. Shaking. 10, 9, 8. Push forward with those lats. Lengthen up through the spine. 5, 4, 3, and rest. So the wonderful thing about that is, let's switch the eye hooks, is I'm getting my entire abdominals and my hips, much like in a side plank. We're using the lateral aspect of the hips and the core and the single side loaded arm. But this is a lot less impingement, a lot less load because you can adjust it for each student. You can take the amount, the degree of the angle out by just pulling your swivel pulleys either halfway up or all the way up if you have that option. If you're doing it all the way up, you're going to find that your abs are going to react a little different than when it's up. Because when it's up, the load is going to really challenge me not to hyperextend. All right, let's do the left side. Start it. Get yourself set up. And let's press and hold. You have the option to break it down in either 10-second intervals, 3 sets of 10 seconds, 20 seconds, or hold full 30. Let's go ahead and take it out. So it's up to you. Play around with your tension. I'll ladder sometimes where I'll do the full, I'm back up to red and the blue. Well, I start at 10 seconds, or I'll start at 30 seconds and back it down. Start at 30 with maybe just a red. Go to 20 at a red and a yellow. Go to 10-second hold at the heavier one. Today, we're just going to go through and show you these. So let's do this one. Get ready. What was I thinking? 30-second, organize, press and hold. "20 seconds. Keep those lats and pecs pushing that bar forward to keep it out of your back. Glutes are on. 10, 9, 'and rest. Woo. That was a challenge for me because I have functional scoliosis. So that side was a huge challenge not to go into my scoliosis pattern. Go ahead and post that strap. Let's push the bed all the way out, no springs. I'm going to set this aside. So a couple options for you depending on where you're at. Resting the carriage at the back of the reformer is going to feel nice because it's just like a floor plank. Pulling it away is going to give you more challenge. So I do quite often side planks or regular forearm planks. Today we're going to start the carriage all the way rested, and we're going to step ourselves out into just a side plank. And let's just hold that there. I've got my left leg anchored and grounded. Right leg is bent and over. And just hold for another 10. Lengthen up through the spine. Prevent the hips from lifting or lowering too much. And switch. Hand to center. Ground your left leg and right leg. 10. And rest. Now, if you have my No Springs workbook, you know this can be modified. You can put a long box on and go to forearm for any arthritic or wrist issue students or yourself. You can also omit this portion. This portion is going to be destabilizing the shoulder. So pull the carriage 2 or 3 finger distance away. Get yourself set, hand on the frame to start yourself. And single leg. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and rest. All right. So that's a lot on the wrist. That's why I don't like to do a lot. It's a real good challenge for the shoulder too. So let's make sure our hands are not oily or sweaty. Put the left on, pull it 2 or 3 finger distance away. Get your grounded leg out. Make sure your arm is under your shoulder. And let's go for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, and rest. Let's go ahead and do a nice little stretch. Take yourself from a plank position, feet are wide. Lower the heels down. Pull the hips back and stretch. And then bring yourself back up. For 4 more. Drop the heels down and pull the hips back. Now, if you like this class, but you want to make it a 50-minute class instead of a 30-minute, what I recommend after we finish with the stretching, you go ahead and do some feet and straps and then some supine abdominals. Or you can do a lunge series, Eve's lunge series, some splits, just to stretch and challenge ourselves. And then maybe do some roll downs, maybe the traditional flat back or round back series of rowing back. Let's go ahead and have a seat, face forward. I love to finish off with the figure 4 sit, stretch forward, hold one hand, hold to the foot, the other hand on the frame, just get that nice hip stretch. Lengthen up through the spine. I always like to think of this as a hip flexion exercise, not a spine flexion exercise. And that hand on the frame and the foot allow me to kind of pull a little deeper into that stretch. So I've got a light pull and switch. One hand holds the foot and just hold for 30 seconds. I really, really like the light springs and coming up abdominal series with all the leg choreography. That can be done without springs as well. Let's go ahead and put your foot bar vertically. I'm going to place myself pretty darn close to it. Put one leg on. If you need to pull it in or block it, whatever, go ahead and do that. You can put the whole foot on, whatever feels comfortable. I'm going to take my right hand, and to get my hand underneath the bar, I do not want to flex. I want to rotate. So once I get that rotation, arm is up and stretch for 5, 4, 3. I love to lift with that standing glute. 2, and 1 more. Getting that nice stretch from all the oblique work we just did. Hip against, foot on. Left hand to rotate torso to get the left hand under. Right arm up. Keep your hip glued and anchored to that bar and stretch for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. So continue on with some feet and straps, a little bit more abdominals if you want, but I feel that that little series of the sitting forward, sitting side, thigh and strap really woke me up. If you like these sequences, and don't always stay in the progression that I did it, you can always maybe do some flexibility exercises first, do the no springs, lying down arm series or lower extremity leg choreography, or with a blue. You don't always have to use a spring is what I'm saying. When you're lying down, you're jumping back. You can always, if you're going to do that series without any spring tension, you just want to do whatever choreography you want, just rest there as opposed to pulling in. And you can even do, so it depends on my mood whether I want to do that choreography with springs or without. When I do it with springs, it really allows, for me personally, I have a back injury. It allows me to pull and really hold onto the uprights in the back, and it keeps my lats on, which when my lats are on, I'm less chance to load my back, my extensors, because I've got that support underneath me for my lats. So try it either with or without springs, play around with the programming, and I just showed you a few, single leg, double leg, scissors, choreography with the helicopter. You can do so much. You can go into some sideline work too if you're not doing springs and you want to add a little bit more on. just hold them and do some sideline choreography without strings. Play around with those, and thanks for joining me.